What's up guys, today we're going to be comparing the Galaxy Note 10 Plus to the S10 Plus. For 2023, this was a comparison that you guys wanted me to remake, and yeah, so there is definitely some big differences I think with these two phones if you're considering buying an older Samsung flagship. Alright, so let's go ahead and dive into it, and if I sound a little funny guys, I am a little bit sick. Let's go ahead and just check out the price in the used refurbished marketplace. It looks like the Note 10 Plus is still trending for around $288 to $300. The S10 Plus, it looks like you can get easily for around 200 bucks. As you can see, 203. And that's definitely what I would pay for it in the USA. You should not pay any more than like 200 bucks, especially on eBay. You can probably find these cheaper if you look around. Alright, so let's talk about the design, because I think that's definitely a big difference here, the hardware. Alright, so with the S10, it's not as boxy as the Note 10, so it's easier to palm in the hand. As you can see, the Note 10 kind of cuts into the hand, or kind of like, pierces into the palm. This is sort of, easier to hold, and there is a big difference in terms of, like, I don't know how they feel, because the Note 10 Plus, it does feel bigger. It is a bigger phone because it has a bigger screen. But yeah, so that's just one thing. If you have smaller hands or you want something that's more comfortable to hold, the S10 Plus is definitely it. I think the Note 10 Plus has aged design-wise much better than the S10 Plus, especially just from the front and the back of the phone. I just think the Note 10 Plus just looks pretty good, even for 2023. I think it still looks like awesome. Alright, so big difference with the hardware. You will notice something. You have an S Pen on the Galaxy Note 10 Plus. You can do digital artwork. You can just use it to navigate if you want to. You have no headphone jack. The S10 Plus does have a headphone jack. So if you're a die-hard headphone person, take that into consideration. Also, both these phones have stereo speakers, which we will test out. But they both also have SD card support as well too. So the biggest hardware differences with these two phones is really the S Pen and the headphone jack. You sort of have to decide which one is more important to you. But yeah, so that's pretty much it. They're both IP68 dust and water resistant as well. Alright, so let's go ahead and talk about the screens. So the Note 10 Plus has a 6.8-inch dynamic AMOLED display. It's HDR10 plus 1440p, 498 for the PPI. The S10 Plus does have a smaller 6.4-inch display, dynamic AMOLED, HDR10 plus, also 1440p, slightly higher PPI at 522. Now you will notice here you do have a double punch hole on the S10, and then on the Note you have a punch hole in the middle. So that's why I said the Note looks like a more modern phone that you would see today. And as far as the screen design goes, it really comes down to personal preference. Do you like the boxier shape, or do you like the more sort of curvier shape on the S10? That really comes down to personal preference. But as far as the screen quality, they pretty much are identical in terms of screen quality. So they really don't look that much different. They are very sharp when it comes to icons and color. They're both very bright. So again, no real difference when it comes to screen quality. It really comes down to the screen design. And, I don't have an issue with the double punch hole. I get that question a lot. Once you start using the phone, you really won't notice too much of it. Like, you really won't notice it that much. But like I said, it is bigger. It is more intrusive than a single punch hole. So yeah, so take that into consideration as well. But I think for display, I think the Note definitely does have the better display, simply because it just looks more like a TV for watching videos and stuff like that. And also, you just have the single punch hole. Alright, so let's talk about these specs a little bit more. So both phones have the Snapdragon 855. They both have micro SD card support. Now, with the Galaxy Note, what's cool about this phone is the base model on this phone. It is 256 gigs of internal storage and 12 gigs of RAM. As opposed to the S10, the base model is 128 gigs and 6 gigs of RAM. So that means that your base storage will always be 256, 12 gigs of RAM, which I think is awesome. Like I said, but both phones have SD card support, so again, not that big of a deal. When it comes to performance, since we have literally the same exact chip, the same benchmark scores on here, It's basically the same, guys. So I know overseas, because I'm really doing this video for a lot of my guys overseas who, you know, are looking to buy an older flagship phone. The Exynos chips, yeah, they are slower than the Snapdragon chips for sure. But I've never actually been able to get my hands on Exynos, like older Galaxy phone, because they're just really hard to find in the States. But if you do get I highly recommend trying to get a Snapdragon version if you can, because it's just blazing fast for 2023. So regardless of which phone you get, you're gonna get an extremely fast phone, just very fast. Both of these phones also got its last major OS update, which was Android 12, and you're currently getting security patches right now. And I do want to make a video on just that whole thing, because I get a lot of questions about that. Well, can I use the phone after security patches? I want to go ahead and sort of make a video on that and get you guys opinions on how long should you keep your older flagship phone. Should you still use it after security patches? I think that'll be a good video to make. But let's touch on the gaming experience. So for my experience, again, with the Snapdragon models, gaming is fine. I actually did a full gaming test on both of these phones, and they do a phenomenal job with gaming. They're able to play PUBG, HDR Extreme pretty easily, no problems. And we'll go ahead and just get into a game, show you guys. So you guys can see we're in PUBG here, and like I said, one of the best things about older flagships is that you have the ability to do some pretty nice gaming on these phones, guys. So for, you know, 300, 200 bucks, you're getting pretty phenomenal gaming experience. These phones play better than something like a Galaxy A53. So that's why I always tell people, guys, definitely don't sleep on these older flagships. The Snapdragon A55 is extremely efficient when it comes to gaming. We're at HDR Extreme, and of course on the S10 we can do HDR Extreme, and it's just buttery smooth, guys. Like I said, check out that full gaming test if you're into games and stuff like that. But like I said, I would pick up an older flagship over a mid-range phone any day, like a A53 or something like that. I pick it up any day because it's just great performance, and like I said, it's super cheap. I think an A53 is still going for like 400 bucks, 300 bucks, something like that. So yeah, so it just makes logical sense. As far as your additional features, like I said, they both have basically all the same features. The only difference is that you have the S Pen software on the Note, right? So if you're somebody that's into taking notes, you do have that S Pen, and it's very useful, guys. Like use it as a grocery list or whatever, or if you just want to just use it to navigate with, it's just buttery smooth for that as well too. So it really depends. I know a lot of people, it just depends on if you're going to use it or not. If not, I'll just save the money and get the S10. Let's go ahead and test out both speakers, max volume on both. Yeah, they pretty much sound identical, honestly. Pretty much the same. So no big difference there. Both very good speakers. If you cover the bottom one, the top speaker puts out a pretty good amount of sound as well too. They both have in-display fingerprint sensors. They both have a face unlock as well too. So all that is there. Alright, so let's go ahead and talk about the cameras. So the S10 Plus has a 12 megapixel standard, a 12 megapixel telephoto, does 2x optical, then a 16 megapixel ultra wide, shoots in 4K 60, a 10 megapixel selfie cam, and then that additional camera here is also a 8 megapixel depth sensor as well. So that's why it has, you know, the two punch holes. Alright, so and then that front facing cam does shoot in 4K 60 as well. Pretty similar camera setup on the Note. You also have a 12 megapixel standard, 12 megapixel telephoto, 2x optical zoom, 16 megapixel ultra wide, and then you have a 0.3 depth sensor on here. Shoots in 4K 60 on the front and back with a 10 megapixel selfie cam. And I think the photo pretty much look the same to me. It's not that big of a difference, but if you guys, let me know what you guys think, honestly.
Alright guys, here's the video on the S10 Plus 2X. We hit our ultra wide. Let me know what you guys think. Here's the video on the Note 10 Plus here. Can you guys tell the difference here? Let me know. And 1080p 60, I can only do 1x on this phone. But what do you guys think? Pretty good.
Alright, so battery life. Let's go ahead and talk about that. The battery experience is pretty much, it feels pretty much the same. Both these phones for older flagships are still able to get around 6 hours of screen on time. At least for me as a sort of a lighter user. The S10 Plus has a 4100 milliamp battery, but here's the thing, it has a 15 watt charging with 15 watt wireless and reverse wireless charging. The Note 10 Plus charges significantly faster, so this one has a 4300 milliamp battery, but the Note charges at 45 watts, which is like a big difference, guys. So it just feels like it's just charging way faster, and it's something that I really like. And it also has the wireless and reverse wireless charging. So I think the battery experience is overall better just because it's just faster charging on the Note. But as far as battery life and screen on time, it's really not that big of a difference. So that is pretty much it, guys. Be sure to let me know what you guys think, and I'll catch you guys in the next one.